For thousands of years, the Great Pyramid of Giza has just stood there, silently guarding its secrets. We all think we know the story, right? But what if the pyramid itself is trying to tell us something totally different? Today, we're diving into the evidence that challenges pretty much everything you've been taught, suggesting the official history, well, it might not be the whole story. See, the more we actually study this ancient wonder, the more questions we have. We've all been told it was a tomb, just a massive monument for a pharaoh. But the evidence, the stuff that's literally etched in stone and aligned with the stars, seems to tell a much, much stranger story. Okay, let's start with the most basic claim there is about the pyramids, the one we all learned back in school. So, the official story is super simple. Pyramids were tombs for the pharaohs. But there's a huge, glaring problem with that. Despite centuries of people exploring these incredible structures, not a single pharaoh's mummy has ever been found inside the Great Pyramid, or any of the other major pyramids for that matter. Just that one fact alone kind of shakes the whole foundation of what we've been told. And we're not talking about some small shed here. The scale of this thing is almost impossible to wrap your head around. We're talking 2.3 million massive stone blocks. Each one weighs as much as a full-grown elephant. And they're stacked almost 500 feet high on a base that covers 13 acres. Seriously, just thinking about the logistics of building this is staggering, and that's before we even get to how precisely they did. And that precision, well, that's where the mystery really starts to get deep. The builders didn't just pile up a bunch of stones, they engineered an absolute masterpiece with an accuracy that just seems to defy the technology of that time. Okay, so just consider its alignment. The Great Pyramid is pointed to true north with an accuracy that is just mind-blowing. Modern builders would need GPS to get this right. So the question is, how in the world did a civilization from 4,500 years ago pull that off? And it's not just the alignment. Across its entire 13-acre base, that's about the size of 10 football fields. The pyramid is almost perfectly level. The margin of error is less than an inch. I mean, to put that into perspective, our engineers today would need laser leveling systems to even hope to get that kind of accuracy. The precision just keeps going. Each of the four sides at the base is almost identical in length. We're talking over 750 feet, with less than a 2-inch difference between the longest and shortest sides. That's an accuracy of 99.98%. It's just perfect. So you have to ask, how was this level of precision even possible for a civilization that was supposedly just using simple copper tools and ropes? Egyptologists have some clever ideas about water trenches and sighting rods for sure, but the sheer perfection of it all still baffles modern engineers and historians. But the mystery isn't just about how it was built, it might be about what it represents. Some researchers are convinced that the pyramid actually contains a message, one that's written in the universal language of math. Now, to get this next part, we just need a quick definition: the solar equinox. It happens twice a year, when day and night are perfectly balanced, 12 hours each. This exact moment of perfect balance seems to be the key that unlocks a hidden code. Okay, you gotta follow this calculation because it's wild. There are 43,200 seconds in the 12 hours of daylight during an equinox. Now here's the crazy part. If you take the pyramid's original height and multiply it by that number, 43,200, you get the polar radius of the Earth with stunning accuracy. Then, if you do the same thing with the pyramid's base perimeter, you get the Earth's circumference. It's like the pyramid's dimensions are a perfect scale model of our planet. So could this all just be a massive coincidence? Mainstream science would say yes. But for two different measurements to match up with the Earth's dimensions at over 99% accuracy, using the exact same specific number from the equinox, I mean, that's a statistical anomaly that really makes you stop and think. It almost feels like the builders had a precise scientific knowledge of our planet. And there's one more amazing link to the equinox. Get this, the Great Pyramid isn't actually a four-sided structure. Each of its four faces has a tiny little indentation running down the middle, which means it actually has 8 sides. And this feature is so subtle it's only visible from the air, at dawn and sunset, on the days of the equinox, when the shadows perfectly reveal its true shape. The weirdness doesn't stop with math and engineering. Nope. There are also clues in astronomy and geology that really challenge the conventional timeline of when the pyramid was actually built. This brings us to the famous Orion correlation theory. The idea is that the 3 Giza pyramids are a map on the ground of the 3 stars in Orion's belt. But here's the twist. Because the Earth has this slow wobble on its axis, it's called precession, the position of the stars in the sky changes over thousands of years. And the perfect match between the pyramids and those stars, it didn't happen in 2500 BC when we think the pyramids were built. No, the alignment was absolutely perfect around 10,500 BC, a full 8,000 years earlier. And that incredibly ancient date is actually backed up by a geological argument. Geologist Robert Schoch looked at the erosion patterns on the Sphinx and argued they weren't caused by wind and sand. He says the deep vertical fissures could only have been caused by thousands of years of heavy rainfall. And the last time the Giza Plateau saw that much rain was long, long before the pharaohs ever came to power. Now, it's a controversial idea, but the rocks seem to tell a story of a monument that is far older than the official timeline allows.
So what does all of this mean, right? When you start putting all these different pieces of the puzzle together, a radical, completely new picture starts to form.
Okay, let's just recap what we're looking at here. We have so-called tombs with no bodies. We have construction precision that rivals our own modern technology. We have advanced knowledge of global mathematics encoded in its very design. We have astronomical alignments that point to a date 8,000 years earlier than we thought. We have geological evidence of massive rainfall in a place that's been a desert for millennia. And maybe the biggest mystery of all, the ancient Egyptians, who recorded everything, left behind zero detailed records explaining how they built their greatest monument. When you combine all of this evidence, it leads to this profound alternative theory, that maybe the dynastic Egyptians didn't build the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx at all. Maybe they just found them, already ancient in their time. Monuments they inherited from a lost, highly advanced civilization from our remote past. And that leaves us with this final, really provocative question. It challenges us to look past the easy textbook answers and consider that maybe, just maybe, the greatest wonder of the ancient world isn't a tomb at all, but a message, a legacy from a past that's far older and way more mysterious than we have ever imagined. Could a forgotten chapter of our own history be written there in stone, just waiting for us to finally learn how to read it?